Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. Look, I tell you what, let's just fly straight into it. The hate that exists in football at the moment is just, it's massively disappointing and it's massively disgusting. And the reality is, look, United last night drew against Wolves. Chelsea lost the Super Cup to Liverpool last week. 2 black players missed the penalty and 2 black players have been the subject of vile abuse online. And I think that Tammy Abraham, Paul Pogba, any black player or anybody really, but any black player will take that personally, that you miss a penalty and you get racial abuse. But actually, as a Manchester United fan, I think the world has changed massively over my lifetime. And I think when I was growing up in the 80s, racism definitely existed. It existed in schools, like it did. It wasn't as condemned as it is now, quite rightly condemned. And jokes and songs and stuff used to go around the playground when I was at school, and it was wrong. And I feel bad about it now, but that's just the world I grew up in. It doesn't make it right. But what is going on now where people, Paul Pogba last night misses a penalty and people actually think, you know what, I'm so frustrated with Paul Pogba. I'm so angry with Pogba. I so dislike Pogba so much for missing a penalty. I'm actually going to put the colour of his skin and make that part of a factor. I mean, it is uneducated. It is disgusting, as I've said, and it is totally and utterly unacceptable in modern society. We pride ourselves that technology has moved on to levels that nobody ever thought could be, even 10 years ago. We have social media, and it's such a great thing. It's such a great thing because it brings people together. I think about like the watch along on the United stands. You've got people watching from all over the world. YouTube's a social media. Twitter's a social media. Facebook, loads of other social medias. But what is being done to stop this? Because, you know what? For all the people saying, I'm going to report that racist tweet about Paul Pogba, there's a load of other people retweeting it. There's a load of other people thinking, you know what? I could never say it because I'm not brave enough to expose my racism. But I like that. I like that comment. They're right what they're saying about Pogba and the colour of his skin. And the only way to stop this is racism will exist. Racism still exists today. Let's call a spade. It does. But it should not be given the voice that it's got. It should be underground and it should be suppressed and it should be not ignored, but it should be pushed into the gutter where it belongs. But social media is allowing it to have a voice. I mean, look, if Paul Pogba walks down the street today and somebody goes up to him and swears at him and uses racial abuse, they'll be arrested and they'll probably get beat up, quite rightly, by good people who will come to Pogba's aid. But on social media it's very difficult because, like Harry Maguire's tweeted, you can open a Twitter account 10 accounts in the next hour and you can go and give abuse. And the scary thing about Twitter is, with trending and things like that, is that can go to a very big audience very, very quickly. A very impressionable audience for some people. There's a lot of young people, there's a lot of people that are impressionable out there, and they will think that, oh, look, you know what? If I walk down the street this afternoon and I stub my toe on the gutter, I'm going to call that gutter every name under the sun because I'm going to be frustrated and angry. The problem is people get frustrated and angry when Tammy Abraham misses a penalty or Paul Pogba misses a penalty, and the first thing in their head is the racism. The racism comes to the fore, and they start using the words anything derogatory about the colour of the skin of that player, and that is unacceptable. And what do we do? Look, people say, well, you shouldn't get involved in this. You're a white man. You don't know anything about it. I don't. I bloody don't. And I accept that. But I know people like Rance and Flex who are very passionate about this, and I work with them very closely. And I can honestly say that I, for many, many years, have never, ever, ever looked at somebody on the colour of their skin and thought they're any different to me. As I said, when I was growing up, I can't lie that. And I hate. And hate is a word that I use a lot, but actually I don't really mean hate. It's just a word for dislike. I think hate is probably one of the big problems. I dislike people who try and pretend that they've never farted in a lift. Oh no, it was never me. I hate those people who try and act that they're the same person now as they were 20, 30 years ago. Like, oh, look at what they did in the 80s. Look, the world was a different place in the 80s and the 90s and the noughties. It was a very, very different place. And anybody who says that they weren't around or exposed or part of sexism, racism, whatever the things that are unacceptable today, 20 years ago, is bullshit, because it existed. And that's why all the great things that have happened in modern society are so important, because it makes us people who grew up in that different society go, I'm really proud of the journey we're going through. I'm really proud that my kids are going to grow up in a world that is totally unacceptable. Like, you know, my daughter came home from school 6 months ago and told me something that had been said about a chocolate, a melting chocolate, about a black person at school, which was, you know, a 5-year-old said it in their class, and their parents got called up to school and they very nearly got taken out of the school. Now, that 5-year-old probably either heard that from somebody at home or was just ridiculously innocently naive, I suppose, as a 5-year-old is, but it's totally unacceptable. And the fact that at that young age, even a throwaway comment, but it's not throwaway because it's racism, is stamped out at an early age. They know it's unacceptable. That's brilliant, because it wasn't like that when I was at school, like I said. So there's so much good that's been done, and we must keep doing that, because racism still does exist. But I don't want to move away from racism, because it's about Tammy Abraham and it's about Paul Pogba, and there's other things that are unacceptable. You know, we had a women's linesman in a match the other day for the Chelsea game, didn't we? I think it was the Super Cup, and some of the comments online about that, you know, that's sexism. That's still abuse, but we're talking about racism here. And it's everybody's responsibility to do something about it. And it's everybody's responsibility to dig deep in their soul and see, am I a racist still? Is there part of me that's a racist still? Am I suppressing it? Why do I do it? Because a lot of these idiots are sat at home. It's the same trolls. They're sat at home. They know they can get away with it. And it's like, God knows how isolated and sad their little lives are, that they can just go onto their phone and type a racial term about a Paul Pogba, put it up there and get that satisfaction of, oh, I've had 10 likes, or I'm getting abused, but 10 people have liked it. It's look at the retweets, look at the chaos it's caused. And that, it is like the petrol on the fire, isn't it? Yeah, the arsonist likes to see the damage it causes. I don't understand that. You don't understand that. But, you know, to me, I just think, you know, if I wasn't doing what I do on social media and I wasn't a complete wanker, and I thought, you know, I'm just going to go and call Paul Pogba a horrible racist term and see the damage it causes, it doesn't correlate to the person I am. It doesn't correlate to the person you are. But like I said, arsonists who cause fires, they like to set a fire and then they like to come back and watch the chaos. That's the MO. That's what an arsonist tends to do. And that's exactly what we have. Arseholes on Twitter and social media who put something vile on there. And you sometimes see it about Hillsborough, you see it about Munich, but I don't want to go down that route because we're talking about the abuse of Paul Pogba here. They'll put something racist there, and then they'll love. They don't care if that account gets suspended or blocked, because they'll just create another one on a different IP or computer, and they'll do it again. And they love to see the chaos it caused. And because they're faceless, they'll be there this morning going, I caused all that. They won't think about the absolute vile nature of the tweet about, you know, whatever it said about Paul Pogba. They won't care about that. They'll just be bathing in the glory of the outrage that they've caused, the sad little lives that they lead. So how does it, you know, social media needs to do a lot more. Harry Maguire's right. Social media needs to do a lot more. But in the short term, what we need to do as football fans is, no, I don't really think reporting people on social media, that's easy. That's very easy to do. What we need to do is understand that there is banter in football is very important. Criticism in football is very important. I don't like people who sort of say, you know, like last season, a lot of people criticised Pogba's inconsistency, and you get people saying, "Oh, it's subtle racism." Why does it need to be subtle racism? Are you not seeing what racism is like last night? You don't need to be subtle if you're a racist on Twitter. You just say what you want to say. Criticism in football is very important. Like when Pogba missed last night, I don't know what I said on the United stand. I probably said similar things to what I said to Phil Jones. Oh, he's missed it. What a prat. Why is he taking the penalty when Rashford should have took it? What an absolute idiot. He's lost us cost 3 points. I don't agree with that, but I've got no problem with somebody saying that. Pogba was shit last night. Absolute joke. Sell him. He's an absolute crap player. We don't want him at United. He's dragging us down. Get him out my club. Useless waste of space. Get him out my club. Nothing wrong with that. I don't agree with that, by the way, but there's nothing wrong with that. There's no There's no racism there. There's no issue there. It's just an opinion forged on a football player. That is fine. It's abuse. Is it abuse? It's an honest, constructive criticism of a player that frustrates a fan base. Get out my club. You're shit, mate. I haven't got a problem with that. It's a bit harsh, but I haven't got a problem with it, and I've said it myself. I like Paul Pogba. I think he's massive to Manchester United's season, and I think United fans need to understand that. He actually wasn't the reason we didn't win last night. He missed the penalty, which he created himself, but United didn't create enough chances. I can sit and look at that pragmatically. It worries me, though, that if you are out there and you're getting frustrated, you look at somebody and you go in on somebody. And look, people have done it about Lukaku's weight. People do it about Luke Shaw's weight. How they look. There's thin lines between banter and that, and even body fascism is it's a thin line. I mean, I've done it myself. I've done it myself on FIFA. I can't pretend I haven't. I don't want to be a hypocrite. But illegal things, i.e., racist comments, it's got to stop. And look, I'm not here to pontificate to you whether this is how we're going to stop it. I think we all know how we stop it. We need stronger people in these social media companies. I mean, look. Harry Maguire says about, oh yeah, let's stop and start accounts. Let's make it verified with passports, etc. How's about you just ban certain words? I can do it. We do it on YouTube. On the live comments, I can block certain words very, very easily. So why don't they just block certain words? And then have a reporting system. And then if things sleep through because, they put a space in between it or whatever, you just keep adding to your blocked words. Very, very simple to do, and I don't know why social media companies don't do it. Because the blocking system doesn't work. It doesn't work because it's too easy to open up an account anyway with a load of bullshit details. So blocking them doesn't stop the problem. These people should not be getting a voice. If these people want to call Paul Pogba a racist, a negative, horrible, vile, racist term, let them do it outside Old Trafford and see what happens to them. If these racists want to be racist against footballers or anybody else in society, let them stand out in the street and do it, and let's see what happens. What needs to be taken away is the ability to hide behind a fucking keyboard and do it that way. If you are a racist and you're so bloody brave about your stupid, imbecile opinions, get out on the street and do it, and let us all watch you do it. And then let's see what happens to you when you do it. Because if you don't get something physical happen to you, you're very lucky, but you will go where you need to be, into prison, and that's where they need to be. It's the faceless cowardice of it. And we all, there's bad stuff on Twitter. I mean, people are telling people to go and die and all sorts. As I said, that's a bigger picture. We're talking about the Pogba hate. We're talking about the Tammy Abraham hate. We're talking about any racism in football. And the social media companies need to do something about it, because you take it back to its most basic sense. Would they stand out on the street and do it? Would they bollocks? And I wouldn't say, oh, fair play to them if they did. They'd be dealt with in the way they need to be dealt with if they did it out on the streets. But they won't do it out on the streets. So they need to be taken away. That opportunity needs to be taken away. Social media is a very, very good thing, but it now needs to go to that next level. I think we've had that initial, oh, social media is great, it's amazing, and it's still relatively new, but we've had all that. What we now need is responsibility with social media. It's like anything, isn't it? It's like anything when it starts out, it's amazing. Oh, that's like smoking years and years ago. It was like smoking was apparently good for you. Oh, now actually it kills you. We need to actually put some parameters in place. And that is exactly what needs to happen with social media, because it's a brilliant thing and we need it. I understand the point of this behaviour does not represent the whole fan base. However, as a person of colour myself, this phrase becomes hollow at a point, says the veteran trainer 88. And K Chino says, Mark is right, there is a banter and there is racism. Glad to see CNN reporting it here in the US. They are not football fans or United fans. And also, I just want to say as well, I had somebody message me today with a league table of arrests for racism, and United at top of it. And I was like, there was 95. There was United with 30-something. Chelsea had something like that. And I replied to them and went, what is that? What is that? Because all I see is 95 events too many. There's 95. I don't. What? A league table for racism? Like, United at top of the league for racist arrests. Well, that I'm ashamed as that as a United fan, but such and such club are only 5 behind us. They should be ashamed. It's the whole picture. Let's stop making racism about clubs. Like, a lot of people, Chelsea are a racist club because Chelsea have had some events where obviously it's been in the public eye. Not every Chelsea fans are racist. In fact, a very, very small minority of Chelsea fans will be racist, but there'll be racist Liverpool fans, there'll be racist Arsenal fans, there'll be racist United fans, there'll be racist Stockport fans. There's racist fans in football. Everybody needs to deal with it. It's not a club problem. It's a club problem for United because they've had to come something out and it's about Paul Pogba. And it's a club problem for Chelsea because it comes out about Tammy Abraham. But it's a bigger problem. It's everybody's problem. And I, for one, like everybody else, have had enough of it. And I cannot even relate to what it must be like if you are a black person this morning waking up with that. Because it shouldn't be an issue. And it's certainly not an issue in my life. Like I say, I don't see people like that. And I'm sure a lot of people don't see that. It's not, I don't see, oh, you're black, you're Asian. I don't see that. And that's the great thing about the society that I've grown up in, especially over the last 10, 20 years. It's been brilliant to see that. But it's still an issue for a lot of people. And every time it happens, it makes it an issue. And I totally... I'm not going to use the word empathise because I can't. I don't have that. It's not an abuse I've ever had in my life. I don't get that. So those people who have it, it must make them very angry. It must make them very frustrated. And all it ever does, in my opinion, is provide an issue where it makes it a little bit about them and us, and that's what we can never have it. We can never have it. That's why everybody has to do something about it, and that's why I always say, all these communities and groups that do great work against racism, I think everybody needs to be in that conversation, because if you make it it's all about us, I understand why you do that, but actually there's a lot of people from all walks of lives, from all backgrounds, with all different colours of skin and disability and whatever, who totally agree that everybody is the same and everybody has the same voice. That's the world we live in. And I think it's very sad that this keeps happening, because it's so uneducated to get frustrated with a player and start going at them for the colour of their skin. It's just wrong. It really is. Anyway, look, I think that's football. I am going to play FIFA later, and that's not because we're going to move on from the problem. The problem's been there for years, and it's still going to be there. But I do think it needs to be put into the minds of people, and it needs to be processed by people, and then you need to make your mind up about where you are with it. Because if you're somebody who likes those tweets, or under the, I'm not going to retweet it, I'm not going to like it, but actually I sort of agree with it, they're right, then I think, those people need to have a long, hard look at themselves. And those people who don't think it's acceptable, well, something needs to be done. Something needs to be done. And, something needs to be done about global warming, doesn't it? We all know that, but this is something where something can be done. This can be resolved. And the social media companies need to do something about it. And Manchester United Football, maybe Manchester United Football Club takes a lead on this, because Manchester United Football Club has got a huge social media presence. And if Manchester United Football Club came off Twitter, then Manchester United Football Club and Twitter would be having a conversation. And I can't make Twitter do something. You can't make Twitter do something. The big people need to do it. Maybe footballers need to come off Twitter. Maybe every footballer needs to come off Twitter. And I'm not just talking about Premier League footballers. Get American footballers involved. Get all the big celebrities and social media personalities off Twitter. And they'll soon start, even like I say, even if it's just filtering words out, or the passport system, like Harry Maguire says, things can be done. It's a great platform. Certain things should not be on there. Thanks everyone for watching. Please smash a like on the video, get your comments in below, subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back with a bit of FIFA at lunchtime. But I just felt that, you can't be quiet about these things, and everyone's going to have an opinion. We all bleed, and guess what? It's red. Doesn't matter about the colour of the skin, says Frankie Red. Exactly. Thanks for watching. Speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching.